Warhammer Fantasy, a lot of the worlds and nations wear their historical inspirations on their sleeves. And Games Workshop's not going to change their map. They're not going to do it.
So who might you be?
The Stiff's brother. Gus is the name. We ran a workshop together. Meyer and Meyer.
What'll it be now? Just Meyer?
Name it. I'll be closing it down now. As soon as I find a buyer for this shack, I'll head on to Mahakam. Be near my family, or what's left of it. So, what do you want to know? What can I tell you about Fabian?
What about Estalion, Albion, Bretonia? Yeah, right. It's like a lot of the nations have names that are literally just ripped from straight historical things. Johnny Thorson, Hathano, welcome to the stream. Good to see you guys. Hello, hello. Do I think Nippon has an actual chance of making us a faction? Maybe. I don't want to really make predictions on playable races until I see the campaign map. Once I see the campaign map and I understand where its borders are, that will make guessing potential race DLCs much, much easier. Though, it's not a surefire method, because they could always expand the map. But it will make it easier. I would love to see Nippon. They could do a lot of really cool stuff with Nippon.
Tell me what you know about the murder.
I mean, I just want everybody. I literally
detail.
just want everybody.
It was like this. Had some work in Oxenford, and I was coming home. Saw a plume of smoke rising over the city. Thought to myself, blast it, gonna miss him burn another hag. But the smoke wasn't coming from Hierarch Square. It was coming from here. See the soot stains? That's where they burned our sculptures. Folk gathered around the blaze and found Fabian here beside it. They'd already loaded him on the cart by the time I arrived.
Talk to your neighbors. They see anything suspicious beforehand? Hear anything?
Claim not to. But even if they had, they'd not have helped. In Novigrad, folk give bleeding orphans in the street a wide berth so as not to stain their poor lanes. What do they care about some dwarf?
Dr. Bloody, I can 100% assure you that bullying CA into releasing something has never worked. Everything has been released. Well, the Siege rework was supposed to come out today, not yesterday, but you know how it is.
Your brother have any enemies? Anyone dislike him? Threaten him, maybe?
'Twas Fabian who threatened this one last. Oh, you were a good dwarf, craftsman like no other. But you were an incorrigible whoremonger as well. Whenever we put a bit of coin aside, I'd say, let's buy some tools, quality timber. No, he grabbed the purse and head out whoring. Took to following one in particular. He'd say, "'Tis all your fault, dirty bitch, human dish rag," and other obscenities. Don't rightly know what that was about. Maybe he was in love with her.
Know where I can find her? This dish rag?
City cemetery. She died a few days back, quietly in her sleep. Her pont said a fever took her.
Fine, we've talked enough. Need to look around.
Be my guest. Just beware of the dogs.
It worked for you for Krokar's spear? Well, I mean, I wasn't bullying them. I was, listen, I was nice about it, okay? I was really nice about it. That was begging, not bullying. Is Clan Eshin's Mortal Empire start location near the desert leading to Cathay? Yeah, well, Papa Chaos, Clan Eshin's start position in Mortal Empires is as far east as they could get him. Like, he's literally in the furthest east settlement on the entire map. He's a good ways from the Warpstone Desert, but I would not be horribly surprised if Clan Eshin moves, but we'll have to wait and see.
Bloodstains.
That's where Fabian lay when they found him.
Murderer dragged something across the floor. Statues. Or dragged it from one corpse to the other, repeatedly. Statues of the old gods. Nothing but women. Shapely ones.
Remember, good people, that fire can be both a blessing and a curse. Fire can warm with its flames. Fire can prepare our nourishment. Fire can drive off the hordes of the dark. Yet fire can also scorch, burn, and incinerate. That's why we must live in harmony with the eternal fire and its commandments. Whoever fails to heed its lessons, whoever lives in ignorance of it, whoever mocks it, the same shall lose his life in its flames. Take my counsel to heart, good people. You will reap the consequences of your deeds. Man, this is stinking of the church's doing. Dog, I'm just gonna... Don't mind me. Just...
Mind if I go inside the workshop?
I've not even peeked inside since they found Fabian. I'll open it for you if you want.
How many factories do I think will be moving with the new massive Mortal Empire map we would get? Not a ton, but a few. Hopefully the Lustria Bowl will become a little less intense. They might move a few of those characters around, or maybe just make Lustria a little bigger if they're all going to stay there. I wouldn't count on a lot of characters moving. One of the big things with Creative Assembly is that they hate moving characters because it is a ton of work for very little benefit from like a design perspective. Like I've had sit down conversations with devs where they have like laid it out for me how painfully difficult it is to move characters around. It is something they really don't like to do unless they absolutely have to.
Formaldehyde. Doubt Fabian used it. More bloodstains, but not near enough to say he bled to death. Unless somebody got rid of the blood. Left a few stains behind. Furniture got knocked over. This looks like it was kicked. Eyes. Humanoid. Completely rotten.
Down for Warhammer Conquistadors. I really want the Dogs of War. I genuinely think if I was forced to pick another faction. Hey, Sergeant Effie! Welcome to the Red Host, my dude. Hope you enjoy the emotes and welcome to the community. I hope you enjoy your stay and welcome. If you forced me to pick between the Fish People / Deep Ones, which is my name for them, Ind, Dipon, the Naga of Koresh, and the Dogs of War. The Dogs of War being Araby, Border Princes, Estalia, and Talea united under a single banner. If I had to pick between those 5, I would pick to put the Dogs of War in the game. It would hurt me deeply, but that is what I would pick. Because I think it would be... It just covers a lot of ground and would really be a wonderful addition.
Aye.
Had a look at your sculptures.
And? Lifelike, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. The women especially. Never seen a bust that size on Melitele.
Oh, aye. Fabian's handiwork. I told him, brother, tits like that would crush her back. Put them down. He said, nay, they'd sell better this way. Told me to shut me trap. And sell they did. Till one sermon at the temple. And the celebrating reverend said that whoso buys idols from the non-human Myers sins twofold, as a heretic and as a lecher. That was the end of that.
And the church is such a bunch of dickwads. Where do I think the story is going with AOS? Hades, I've heard some pretty reliable rumors that I really hope is true. That the next big event we're building up to, which Heralddeep is kind of hinting at, but the next big event we're building up to is a major conflict between light and shadow, with kind of all the elven gods having made their big moves during Broken Realms. The only one who hasn't is Malarian. And supposedly we're going to be getting a big box set, not like a starter set, but like a good box set that's going to feature the release of Malarian's faction, the Draconic Shadow Elves, the Umbraneth, or whatever they're going to be called, versus Tyrion. So we're getting an Elven Civil War. Well, it's not a civil war because they're actually different races. But they are, they're both Elven, but that's the only similarity. But supposedly we'll be seeing Malarian versus Tyrion. Because we know they're fighting. But it should be the last big release for the Lumineth Realm Lords, which will release the River Spirits. And the last of the... it should release Tyrion, all of the river units and the Zenith stuff versus Malarian and his new faction.
Already know what happened. Fabian was in the workshop. Murderer attacked him there. They struggled. Fabian was overpowered, then tortured for a time.
I needn't know the details. Truth be told, I haven't the stomach for him.
When it was over, the murderer dragged Fabian to the courtyard, then made a pyre of sculptures, set them aflame.
But why? Why do all that?
To teach a lesson. To him, you, the whole city.
Hope to God we get the Dragon Phoenixes. Yeah, that'd be cool.
We've talked enough. Won't learn anything else here. Take care.
Any detail to Umberneth? No. We don't know a lot about them. We know that they're probably going to have a lot of draconic features, and that they're spooky. That's really all we know. We haven't seen them. There are some people who suspect that a creature that was revealed in, I think it was Beastgrave, on one of the Beastgrave cards, maybe an Umberneth, but we don't have any confirmation of it, because there's like a weird shadowy creature that shows up. But it might have just been like a shadow demon, as opposed to an actual Umberneth. Do I think the Shadow Elves will include a Lithnar at all? No. That'd be kind of wild.
Oi, Witcher!
Oh, hello.
Coroner wants to see you. Been another victim.
What?
Told me to say the main door will be open for you. You're to come as soon as you can.
Well, that's annoying, but...
What happened here?
Monsters must have run them down. The swarms in the city now.
She waved to me.
Let's stay home after this.
Hello, Eustace.
You Eustace, the corpse collector?
Aye? How'd you know?
Fourth sense, I think it is. You bring Fabian Meyer's body to the morgue?
Fabian. Oh, yeah, I remember. No ice, no heart, one of them, right? No purse neither, as I recall.
Anybody else?
One of them? So there have been other bodies like that?
Sure have. Beggars, street urchins, and street walkers. One was so portly, I had to cut her into pieces to fit her in me wheelbarrow. Slippery sow, they called her, on account of her.
Some things are best left unsaid. What happened to the pieces?
What do you mean? Reverend Nathaniel ordered them burned. Every last one. Oh, shame that was.
Shame? Why? Actually, never mind. Another thing that's best
Actually,
left unsaid.
never mind. I don't want to know.
You searched Fabian's body?
Well, I cast an eye in his pockets. Made sure nothing went to waste.
I call a spade a spade. You rob corpses.
And I call a prick a prick. It's none of your fucking concern. What, you tax collector? Piss off, mutant.
Delightful. Tell me what you found.
Talk. What did you find on him?
As you wish. Triflings, baubles, glass-beaded ring, handful of coins, and a letter. Look, vellum, quality parchment, that. I'll wipe off the writing as silly as new.
No, you won't. You'll give it to me.
That's human skin.
Oh. Ugh.
Priscilla. Next victim's name. If you'd given this to the right person, she might not have been hurt.
What the fuck do I care what happens to some Priscilla? We short of wenches in this town.
Oh, this guy's a jerk. Hit him. Kind of a jerk, but I don't really. Just leave. Get out of here.
Get out of my sight. Now.
I'm not gonna beat the shit out of him. It's tempting, but I'm not gonna stoop to that. Sorry, chat.
Pig's got hoof and legs.
new rice tits. You're a bigger rat picker than me.
He's garbage, but
Welcome, Master Witcher.
He also does a job literally no one else wants to do. But anyway, yeah, I just don't see a Lithnar making sense in a Malarian faction. Like, I would love to see a Lithnar make an appearance, but I don't think he would appear as part of that race. If a Lithnar was going to be on anybody's team, a Lithnar would probably be resurrected by the Lumineth, but I don't think a Lithnar is going to come back for AOS.
Geralt, right? I'm glad you're here. Held off on the autopsy till you arrived.
Nice of you, especially given you didn't seem pleased about my previous visit.
Because you came unannounced and in unfortunate company. I also had Reverend Nathaniel to contend with. Our spiritual caretaker has left the city on some important matter, and I know who you are, what drives you. I'm more than happy to aid your investigation.
Have I tried turning off the fisheye effect? I don't mind it. I don't mind it. It's really fine for me to have it on, and it helps it making an inch. It helps it make like when I'm using it more obvious and stuff. It's fine. Doesn't bother me.
Von Grad's told me all about you.
Ah, doubtless you've heard how I had the noble leader of the student protesters thrown in prison. But did you hear the protests were far from peaceful, or did he neglect to mention it? People were dying, Witcher. Those who rejected liberty, equality, and fraternity would be found in the gutter come morning. Their throats slit from ear to ear with surgical precision. Joachim had been my favorite student, but alas, I had to do something. So I reported him. Then I left the university and found work in the morgue, where none care about my past. Whereas Joachim, oh, fate's ironies. Years later, he was appointed head of the very ward I had founded.
A little young.
How old's Von Grad's? 50? 60?
53, I believe. Why do you ask?
You look a little young to have been his teacher.
Not surprising. For years, I've lived in the cold and dark, breathing the vapors of embalming fluids. In short, working with corpses extends one's life. Amusing, is it not?
That's a little suspicious. A little suspicious.
Who's the victim this time?
Joris Aquinas, a lecturer in theology at Oxenfurt Academy. Found this morning at his home on a catafalque made of his books.
Any titles in particular?
It seems all the tomes dealt with the eternal fire. Treatises critical of the faith's doctrines.
Yeah, mortal sin in Novigrad. Not fond of Nathaniel?
Very few people are. He's cruel and capricious. He stormed in here once, grabbed a scalpel I was sterilizing over a burner, sliced my back with it to the bone, because I had forgotten to lock the storeroom.
Holy shit.
Hard to be fond of someone like that, wouldn't you agree?
Let's start.
Gladly. The wounds conform to the killer's modus operandi. The victim was bound and forced to drink formaldehyde. Next, the killer removed the eyes, placed burning coals in the sockets, then opened the rib cage and... What's this? A parchment made of human skin.
A message from the murderer. The name of his next victim. Patricia Vegelbud.
Do you know her?
Yes. Even went to her estate once with... Gotta find her, now.
Oh boy. Let's read a couple of these character entries. Because I've got so many of these I need to read. Let's knock out a couple of them. So we've got Vimy Vivaldi. The dwarves have been in the banking business since the legendary King Desmond of Temeria was just a snot-nosed brat in short trousers asking for more yam with his food. Since then, the prominent dwarven banking families, the Giancardis, the Vivaldis, and the Cianfanelis, have only expanded their services, establishing branches in all the larger cities of the north. Vimy Vivaldi carried the torch of this venerable tradition into modern times, growing the Novigrad branch of his family's bank until it was the largest in the city. Geralt and I had met him over a dozen years before our story begins and had always appreciated his honesty and financial acumen. The latter he gave further proof of during the time in which our story takes place, for his bank remained profitable even in the face of growing non-human oppression. We got Ves, Vess was a veteran officer of the Blue Stripes and the only soldier from Roche's former unit to have survived the war. After the Blue Stripes were decimated and officially disbanded, Vess remained under Commander's side to continue with him the seemingly hopeless struggle for Temerian freedom. Energetic and tough, Vess had always impressed with her skill of crossbow and sword alike, outshooting and outswinging all the men in her unit to a laughable degree. Though usually well-disciplined, Vess refused to heed Vernon's command and set off alone to face enemy forces. Vess's rash move landed her in a horrible pot of trouble that only Geralt's sword could dish her out of. Yeah, she nearly died. She nearly died. Vernon Roche? As commander of the Temerian Special Forces, an elite squadron also known as the Blue Stripes, Vernon Roche had been one of the King Foltest's most trusted subordinates. Time and time again, Roche had proven himself loyal, effective, and a thorough professional. Few could match his skills in doing revolts, fighting off guardians, or snuffing out bands of Squatal. At the start of our story, however, he had lost his king, his men, and his homeland, so had resorted to waging guerrilla war against the overwhelming occupying forces. In his war of assassinations, ambushes, and night raids, Roche depended on Redonian help, though it was clear he took no pleasure from working with Radovid. Sometime later, it was revealed that Roche had took part in a conspiracy to assassinate Radovid. He had realized that once the war was over, the Mad King would offer no prospect of free Temeria, making Roche himself a liability and potential. Mysterious elf? Turned out not only Geralt was looking for Cirilla, also on her trail, a mysterious elven mage. Like the Witcher, he had gone to Kara Metz to inquire about Ciri's whereabouts. During this conversation, he also revealed that he kept a hideout in the ruins near the village of Midcopes. Geralt decided to follow up on this lead. Though he was not able to establish the mysterious mage's identity, he did learn that he had been traveling with Cirilla some time before the Wild Hunt was after him as well. Alright. And then, where is... There he is, Hubert. Hubert Recht. Recht? Tactical Sign! Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for being here. Love your face. Hubert, the wave of religious and racially motivated killings that swept through Novigrad in the spring of 1272 coincided with Hubert Recht's term as coroner at the city morgue. Because of this, he was overworked and additionally had to bear the harassment of his dislikable superior, Reverend Nathaniel. It is thus no surprise that he came across as unpleasant, sarcastic when Geralt and he first met. Furthermore, it was clear that there was bad blood between him and Joachim von Gratz, a fact that did little to improve the already rather stiff atmosphere at the morgue. Nevertheless, having learned the reason for Geralt's unexpected visit, Hubert made it clear that Geralt and Joachim could count on his help. Heard that Hubert had once been von Gratz's teacher and mentor, yet when von Gratz's involvement in the student movement led to bloodshed, Hubert felt he had no choice but to denounce his advisee in order to avoid an escalation of violence. Hubert proposed to help the Witcher perform an autopsy on the serial killer's last victim, which revealed valuable new... Hey, Garnath, good to see you. Oh, we found a letter. Patricia Vengelbund, returned citizen. Patricia is usually buddy-buddy with the general, which could be interesting.
What? Fucking hay-horse.
When do I think Morgur will get a miniature or even an actual appearance in AOS, besides them just being a minor faction? I am expecting Morgur or I think Krakenrock the Black is 100% going to make an appearance in 3rd edition AOS. I am hoping Morgur will be with him. I would be so excited for a Morgur and Krakenrock the Black mini.
Fine.
You buy anything? Yes. Oh, I just realized I don't really have anything I want to sell. Oh, I need to go by my home. Drop all those trophies off.
Thanks.
Come again. James, it gets right here.
Oh, that sounds fun, Garnath. Morgur's always been the god of mutation. Morgur's always been a god. He's always been something crazy. But in Age of Sigmar, Morgur is still the god of mutation, essentially. But he is also building up to be kind of the overall god of the Beastmen, along with a concept known as like the Prime Beast. And seeing as the Beastmen no longer... the Beastmen actually do not worship the gods of chaos anymore. Like, they you know, they're kind of on, like, the same side as the Dark Gods. But they no longer actively worship them, with the exception, of course, of the sorry, I got distracted for a hot second. The only beastmen that actively used to worship the dark gods are, of course, the god-specific beastmen, which is, I actually think a really, really cool change. It's one of my favorite changes about the Beasts of Chaos, is that while they are still, you know, recognizably beastmen, they are kind of their own sinister force now, as opposed to just being like a lesser force in the view of the dark gods. Does Tzeentch prefer Morgr or Malagor? I think Tzeentch favors his existence as the god of magic more than anything else. Like, you know, being the god of hope, well, being the chaos incarnation of hope, therefore being the god of change, he does enjoy change and the twisting of fate. Mutation, though, like, Morgr's thing is, like, so niche and specific that I don't think Tzeentch particularly would care for him. I think Tzeentch would find Malagor much more interesting, because Malagor is actually capable of scheming and making plans, and he's a powerful wizard and all that stuff. Sotek, what are the possibilities for order-aligned undead in Age of Sigmar, both for individuals and factions? The question came up during a prep for AOS Soulbound one-shot that I'm working on with. Some players would really like to know both for their potential characters and what the future may hold. So Shadow, in general, as for when it comes to factions, you will never see, I don't think you will ever see a undead faction associated with Order. All undead will have to tie back to Tzeentch, or Tzeentch, Nagash, no matter how they feel about it. However, when it comes to, like, individual characters, I absolutely think there will be characters who throw off that mantle and embrace working alongside other forces. I think there will be undead that are dedicated to trying to take Nagash down. There will be Stormcasts are not undead. Stormcasts are not undead. That is, you can't say that. They are living creatures. If you slit their throat with a regular steel dagger, they die. They're not undead. They are little weird. They're more like demigods, but they're not undead. Like on an individual basis, there are absolutely undead that will not work alongside the other death factions, and will go out of their way to fight against Nagash. So when it comes to like creating a character, yeah, like you could go wild with it. There are absolutely undead who could, maybe they were faithful to Sigmar in life, but for whatever reason have become undead, and they still hold on to that. Or maybe they just hate Nagash so much that they go out of their way to work with Order factions because they think that's the best chance they have at avoiding Nagash's ire and getting away from him. It just, you know, it just depends on what you want their folks to be, but it's not unprecedented and it's still easy to do. Well, technically, ghouls aren't undead. if we're gonna split hairs, ghouls are not technically undead. But hopefully that answers your question, Shadow. Like there are flesh eater courts that are pretty anti-Nagash. Like they still have to answer to him if he turned his attention directly on them, because Nagash is the ruler of all undead, or dead aligned things that depend on death. Nagash is your boss, whether you like it or not. And there's no escaping that, without avoiding him. Like, you would just have to avoid him, as best you can. That one guy you know, welcome to the stream, good to see you, thanks for being here. Yeah, no. Yeah, the idea that, no, Stormcasts are so far from undead, it's not even funny. Like, they're superhumans, that when they die, their soul is sent to essentially a reservoir where they have to have